Happy TGIF, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we had a comment, and I'm going to check it out real quick and try to post it up here. And it's a good question, and I thought I'd go ahead and dig a little bit deeper and create a more longer discussion topic about it. I did respond back to him, as you guys saw, from Quick Wrench 75. So why is it? How is it that I've been wrenching for 14 years and that I'm now at a brake, tire, and lube shop, and that I've sold the majority of the things that I had took all that time to acquire? I think he's a little bit, I think maybe the term repo is a little bit extreme, because a repossession, so like a vehicle repossession, right? I couldn't afford to pay it. I voluntarily surrendered it, and then they came and picked it up. So in sorts, that's a repossession, okay? The same thing happened to me earlier on in my Snap-on career, when I didn't have enough money to afford the tools because I didn't have a job. I almost voluntarily surrendered what I had, but then fortunately I was able to get a job and start payments immediately, and after 6 years I had paid them off. And then I had gotten back into the tool debt, and I got a scan tool. You guys know I had a bunch of stuff at this point in time. Most of the stuff I bought from Snap-on, I actually either carried an on-truck balance or I paid for outright. I didn't really have a credit account until I got the Zeus. But I ran with the Zeus for probably about a year. And then right as I was like thinking about getting out of the career field, I tried to get into bartending and thought I could cook in the evening, bartend during the day until bartending went at nighttime. The bartending didn't work out because the pay wasn't enough to support the household size that I had. I ended up going back into wrenching. Then after about a year or so of being back in the wrenching life, still burnt out from wrenching, wasn't really sure that I wanted to stick with it still, but obviously could not do bartending because it wasn't going to pay the bills. I started looking into law enforcement. I started working and applying for like security positions and even some culinary stuff. And when I had said that I couldn't work all the hours, it didn't say that I couldn't work any hours. I'm available 7 days a week. There's just a couple of nights a week when my daughter has like soccer practice for like 2 hours in the evening. That's not really a long time, and it's usually from like 6 to 7 or 7 to 8, something like that. So for a 2-hour block, gives me enough time to get to the field, coach, come home, change, go to work, right? So it wasn't like a big gap of time, just like a small period of time. So I was like, well, these hours I really can't work, but anything, you know, up to that point I can, and anything after that point I can. I'm totally willing to work till 2, 3 in the morning, whatever I got to do. Even if it was a graveyard shift, I would have been hip to that. But that's not really what happened. Life has its ways of throwing us through the ringer. But I didn't have enough money coming in per month because I needed to pay rent and the utilities. And I didn't really have much loose change after that. The transportational issues I had made it to where I couldn't leave the area that I'm in. So I run into a geographical location issue. Somebody was asking me, why couldn't I just apply at another dealership? There is one and only one dealership in the area that I live in. I would have to drive 45 minutes to an hour away to get to the next one, and that's down 2 steep mountain grades to get there. So with a transmission that's slipping, that can only stay around town around 35 miles an hour, I was fine with anything in town, or I could ride a bike or walk or whatever, take the bus. But locally, one dealership. Independent shop wise, yeah, there's a few of them out there. They're not all good independent shops. That's why I kept going back to Ron's. Ron's, I feel like, is a really good independent shop. Some of the other ones I've heard bad stories about, and there's been a couple that they just kind of stick to what they have. They don't really hire a lot of outsourced people. It's usually a tight-knit group when it comes to the independent shops in my geographical location and area. tire and lube shops, kind of a dime a dozen. We have Walmart, Jiffy Lube, Big O, DTC, and American Tire, and I think Tire Pros. So we got like 6 of those floating around town. Again, you hear horror stories about some of these ones, and they all pay minimum wage, and that's pretty much it. So it's not really like extensive. The only dealership that we have in town, I still have good ties with not only the shop foreman, but the manager, and I talk with them on a regular basis. So I'm sure if there was something open and available, they would let me know and try to get me in. Unfortunately, that position is not available right now. It's just not. They're actually downsizing because in the summertime, it gets kind of slow. Things tend to pick up a little bit more towards the wintertime because people are leaving because they want to go to different places. Sometimes in the summer, it gets busy and then it dies off. So there's these weird like seasonal transitions where it's busy and then it's not. So I don't know what they're looking for when they're looking for it. We just don't know, right? So you kind of play the field when it comes to that kind of stuff. As far as culinary work, they want a complete availability. Like I've been interviewed at a couple different places. They really wanted to hire me because I have plenty of culinary background. But they wanted complete availability, even if I was working part-time. Now, you tell me and be honest with yourself. If you only worked anywhere between 5 and 10 hours per week and you were part-time and you only worked 2 nights a week, would you give them complete availability? The answer is no. I mean, you could sit here and argue with it because you have a job, but the answer is no, okay? So just move past that. The other places that I've tried to apply, retail, even going to work for like Harbor Freight or Tractor Supply, again, complete availability because your shift, it might be 8 to 5 one day, it might be 2 to 3 in the morning the next. You could be working the graveyards, restocking stuff, but they want that interchangeability. I've heard of people at Harbor Freight working so many different shifts that they just felt sleep deprived because they would go from working a day shift to all of a sudden working a swing shift to working a night shift and then back to the day shift the very next day and only having a few hours downtime in between. It's crazy. So there's the workload as far as the area is concerned. Now let's go back to the tool discussion topic for a minute. I voluntarily surrendered a certain portion of tools back to Snap-on to clear a debt. I actually sold a bunch of stuff in town locally and paid Matco off entirely in cash. I was just like, hey, got you, done. Paid it off. Someone said, I don't know why you would ever sell your tools, never sell your tools. You could always make money with your tools. And you know, if you've been a mechanic for 14 years, there's no reason why you couldn't unless you burned your bridge at every place that you ever worked for. Imagine where I've worked for. I've worked for Yucca Valley Chrysler and Ron's Automotive, all pretty much within the same area over the last, decade. So, no, bridges aren't burnt, okay? I just don't want to anymore over at Ron's Automotive. The dealership's not hiring. There's only one, and I can't make it up and down the hill. Now I can that the transmission's fixed, but then you're still going to work 2 to 3 weeks before you even get your first paycheck. You still need gas to get to and from. And you could take sack lunches. Yep, that's an option. Unless you can afford the fast food, but I doubt it because everything's going up except for the amount of labor. So let's just say you're taking fast food lunches. You still got to fuel yourself to get to and from for 3 weeks. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's very much a lot. So having extra monthly payments by hanging on to tools that I'm not right away using because I didn't have employment doesn't make sense. Giving them back until I do get employment does make sense because it reduces my monthly bill. It also increases my credit. It saves my credit with the franchise, and I can always go back to it later. So did I lose a little bit? Yeah. But we were able to take care of some immediate needs too. I was able to clear up some debt with Snap-on and Matco. We were able to take care of utilities, insurance that was due. We were able to renew like our AAA, other things like that. We had holidays that we had to pay for, birthdays that we had to pay for. And then with the last little tidbit, I got some vices and stuff with people disagree, like smoking and drinking. Okay, well, I don't drink and smoke every single day. Well, maybe cigarettes, okay? But I have gone the cheaper route. These are $6 a pack. That's a heck of a lot cheaper than what I was spending when I actually had a good job and was making good money. Still kind of costly, but your boy doesn't just sit here idly by at home all the time. Sometimes I go do roof jobs. I got a buddy's house right now that I'm working and helping him with his roof, right? So he just shot me like $80. So that was helpful. Little things like that. I'm trying my best in an area that doesn't have a lot to offer. It's very difficult, you know what I mean? And some of you that live in a small town, you know what I'm talking about. It is difficult. No excuses other than this. In short, okay, I've made some bad lifestyle choices. Yes, at one point in time, I was excelling at YouTube, doing very well with it. I was doing very well at the independent shop. The owner sold the shop and he went elsewhere. New ownership took over, and nothing against the new ownership. I just liked the way it was ran before. Okay, I love that man. That man was good to me, took care of me. It really made you feel like, you know, you were his brother or something like that, or his son. It was just night and day difference when he owned and ran the shop, and I really appreciated that. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little, you know, choked up when he left, and so I didn't know how I felt about that, and I just did my best to keep moving forward. And you know, I thought, well, maybe it's time to start migrating and going back to the dealership life. You know, I tried that for a little bit. Life happens. I went through a divorce, you know what I mean? I was in a different relationship. I didn't have the studio / garage anymore, so I felt discouraged, demotivated. I felt a little bit lost with the YouTube stuff because I didn't feel comfortable in my surroundings with making content. So I just kind of let that slide to the wayside. It was for funsies mostly anyways, and I was struggling to try to figure out if this is what I wanted to do for a living anymore. You know, I just got to a point where I just wasn't really sure. And I wanted to try other things, and I did try other things, and other things have not really been panning out. And, you know, I'm not really sure what else to do except for do what it was that I did before, which is try to turn a wrench again. I mean, that's just pretty much it in a nutshell. And while I'm still waiting, and hopefully I hear something back from law enforcement, I do feel a little bit discouraged by it, you know, because I know that my finances are rocky. I know that I made some poor lifestyle choices, and that with not having the income that I used to have, where I was able to afford 2 vehicle payments, a mortgage, 2 different tool payments, motorcycle payments, you know, on 2 different bikes and stuff like that. I don't have any of that anymore. Now I've got no tool payments. I've got no car payments. I've got no motorcycle payments. I've got no motorcycle. You know, I've barely just got this job to try to make a few dollars on the in-between, because my wife's income is taking a little bit of a hit. So I'm trying to pick up the slack where I can until I hopefully get that, you know, better job. But if it doesn't happen, in the meantime, here I am, and I'm trying my best. You know, I'm putting in a really solid effort at where I'm at. And, you know, it's going. But at some point in time, I'm going to have to make a decision about what it is that I'm going to do. Because, you know, working minimum wage, it's a hard pill to swallow, because you're not really making a whole bunch. You know, you're making, again, minimum wage, and for somebody like myself that has been running that long, that's not a lot when you have a family size of 6. Yes, I had considered selling the toolbox. Yes, at one point I did have it listed up on Facebook Marketplace. No, nobody was interested in it. And frankly, the people that were offering me the money, they were offering me like, I'll give you $1,000 for it right now. I'll give you $2,000. This is a $15,000 plus toolbox, brand new. Okay. Selling it on the market, I would be hopeful that I could sell it for at least 6 or 7. But I haven't been getting offers at 6 or 7, and I'm not giving it away for $1,000 to $2,000. Because for that, I would just go buy a Harbor Freight US General, use that, and leave this one here, and it can sit until it rots. Now, another thing is that I was talking with Garrett from Snap-on. Here's something else that I'm actually strongly considering. I might be able to do a trade for trade, and I'm still deciding it. I'm thinking about it. I really am. You guys know that how I feel about the US Generals. They're a solid box for the price. I'm very much considering trading Snap-on this toolbox in for tool credit to get the Triton. I won't get enough credit to get the Zeus. I was like, hey, you know, retails for about 15, 16. Do you think it'd be possible to trade it in to get the Zeus with the diagnostic cart. He said, let me see what I can do. Let me check it out. Let me work some numbers and see if maybe we can get somewhere close to that. He's like, hey, all right, got some news for you. I might be able to work with you depending on which direction you want to go. I can either set you up, get you a bunch of different, cordless hand tool service car, or I can get you the Triton. Just kind of figure it out with me. Let me know what you want to do. If you want to keep it, I understand. It's not a big deal, but you were asking me about it, so I'm just trying to let you know. I can get you somewhere in there. I was like, okay, cool. So at least I have an idea of where it is that I stand. So I'm really thinking about getting the Triton. I know a lot of you are like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, go get your tools back and reload up a US General. Yeah, no, I agree with that, okay, to a certain degree. But I do have, remember, this thing ain't empty. I do still have some tools. I do believe I can buy cheaper versions of some of the more expensive things that I used to have in it, okay? The biggest things I think that are gone that I think would be very beneficial would be like either cordless or air tools. I don't have anything that runs that kind of RPM. Hand tools is what I got. Okay, so there's number one. Longer ratchets, okay, that would be number two. Not a big deal. Those things I think I could get from Harbor Freight, okay. Torque wrenches, okay, so I can go get click styles in the beginning on the cheap, run them for a minute. If I need a digital or a tech angle, and I do work for, let's say, like a dealership or a different independent shop at some point, I'm sure I could still borrow theirs, torque my head bolts down or whatever it is that I'm doing for them, okay? So click styles will work for me on the interim until I decide that. So these are things I'm thinking about. I have all the 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/8 drive, all the extensions, all the ratchets. I have the e-torques. I have triple squares. I have torque spits. You know what I mean? I've got bit sets. I've got screwdrivers. I've got a bunch of pliers. I've got punches. I've got hammers. I've got chisels. You know what I mean? I got brake tools. I've got all that stuff. Some of the other stuff that I'm limited on will be like axle nut sockets. And that's not that big of a deal. Again, sometimes it's in the specialty tool room. Other times you can borrow something like that until I get them. Pressure testers, okay? I have a coolant pressure tester. That's it. But if I want a compression tester or a leak down tester, easily those items can get picked up for on the cheap. Like I said, I can get those over at Harbor Freight, run those for a little bit, or borrow somebody else's at a shop if I ever have to do that specific test. No, I do not do a lot of diagnosis, but what the Triton would do for me, it would pull up any OBD2 trouble codes. It would do ABS modules, so that way I could check the braking system too. It does have bidirectional control. It does have steering inclination, reset, and learning abilities. I do have the ability to look into the AC system. It will get past the Chrysler Gateway module. There's a lot of things that are benefit as far as the scan data is concerned with the actual data and other live PIDs that I can read, because it'll be at a faster approach. I'll get an oscilloscope, so if I want to start dabbling with that and learning about that some more, I could, okay, or checking wheel speed sensors or whatever, which means it also has a multimeter. So I have a Klein multimeter. It's more geared for the house, but I use it because it also has a DC current. I've been using it for that too. So I do have a meter, but it would be nice to have one for the automotive that can get up there a little bit higher in range and do different things, and I can watch, waveforms and stuff. I really was always interested in that. I just never had the time to really learn that part of it. Basically, what I'm getting at is if I get back into the full swing of things in automotive, I really am considering going that direction with it, because I could use some of the paychecks that I earn at where it is that I'm at to get a service cart, start putting some stuff in it, trade this for the Triton. So now I'll have the scan tool, I'll have a service cart, take my basic set, start organizing it, getting it laid out in this new service cart or what have you, and I'm ready to rock. And then I can pretty much work on anything and everything. And some people saying, well, yeah, man, but I mean, you wouldn't be able to fill all your stuff. Dude, most of you that saw me at Ron's Automotive, I ran out of a service cart, and that was primarily all I ran out of. And I had a Harbor Freight 53 inch, or yeah, whatever it was, 52 inch that I ran out of as an overflow bin. You know what I mean? I didn't even use it as a main toolbox. So These are the things I'm at. I think I've spent so much time in the gutter, I'm just used to starting over. I think that's what it is. I have had a lot of redos in life. I have made some bad decisions in life, for sure. By no means am I like the best role model out there. Do I have good discussion topics? Do I have good ideas for our younger and upcoming techs? Do I wish I did things differently? Absolutely. But sometimes too little is too late. You know what I mean? Once you get past a certain point and it gets down to feast and famine, why would I be willing to get rid of things that I worked my lifetime, almost a lifetime of trying to achieve, because I wanted to take care of my family? I did what I had to do. I took care of my monthly payment debts, so I didn't have any monthly payments. If I couldn't afford the car can go too. Guess what? My dad gave me my grandmother's car, and all I had to do was come up with enough money to replace the transmission. Boom. Okay? Now I've got A to B. All I got to do is pay for the insurance on it. Done. It's a reliable piece of transportation. Okay? No more monthly payment. That's where I'm at. Monthly payment's out. Bills is paid. Everything's good. I'm not against paying monthly payments if I can afford them. If I feel comfortable and I feel rock steady in the job that I have, where I feel like I could take on a monthly payment, it's not that big of a deal, and my income is excessive enough to the point where not only can I take care of my lifestyle by paying for the rent, paying for utilities, helping out with food, getting diapers, helping with holidays, taking people out on vacation, still able to put some money to the side, fix vehicle repairs when they pop up, and then I still have a little bit extra, I have no problem going into a monthly payment at that point in time. It's something that everybody's going to run into. I don't care if you have a credit card, if you got a loan, if you took out a mortgage. Guess what? You're making payments. At some point in time, you're going to end up making payments. You just have to decide if it's worth making the payment, okay? When I had no transportation before, I didn't mind taking out an extremely high interest loan on a car that was used and beat and needed work done to it, because I had transportation to get to and from when I worked really far away. Okay? You do what you have to do to survive, and that's what I'm getting at. I've always done what I've had to do to survive. I've always been humble enough in my abilities to start afresh, to where even at the current position that I'm at, hey, show me how you do a flat repair. Not like I haven't done flat repairs before. I want to see how they do it, because there might be a different way. And I'm humble enough to know that, hey, I haven't really done a whole bunch of alignments. I've done alignments over the years, mostly on newer vehicles. I know how to adjust eccentrics and stuff like that, but some of the older ones, it really wasn't my forte. And if you're a young teenager or young 20-year-old and you're just starting out, but you've been doing it for, almost a year, 2 years, you've probably done more alignments here at this shop than I am, so show me. Let's talk about it, I'm totally cool. I think there's too many old guys out there that don't want to learn anything from the new techs, because they just, what would you possibly have to show me about this? I don't want to learn. You're just a young kid. You haven't even dropped your balls yet. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's just silly. That's just nonsense. You can learn a lot from a lot of different people, regardless of age, race, ethnicity, gender. It doesn't matter. I don't care who it is that I'm around. If you look like you're a knowledgeable person, I'm going to go with what it is that you got going on. Hey, yeah, show me. Let's see what's going on. Oh, yeah, you know what? You might be right. Let's address that. You know what I mean? Of course, I've had certain ways of doing things with different shops, and I've had to do it certain ways at certain places. Look, the dealership looks at air filters differently than the independent shop. The independent shop looks at air filters a lot differently than the lube and tire shop. But yes, there is a California rule that tells you the Bureau of Automotive, everybody has their own way of doing things. And I think the most important thing that you can do is to learn how that establishment does it, because their way is different. You know what I mean? We're at one place, missing a time punch isn't that big of a deal. They have a time correction sheet. At another place, they don't even have time punches. You don't have to clock in and clock off. You just come and go, and you accept it. You're there for your 40. Sometimes you stay overtime. They don't pay you overtime, but you'll stay because you want to finish the job to make the money. Other places are very adamant about it, and if you miss too many, they want to fire you. Like that's really the indifferences. It is that extreme. There's no gray area. It is literally night and day difference between every single different shop. Everyone has their own different way and justification of doing something or not doing something a certain way. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that answered his question. Look, long story short, I knew this was going to be a long video. I've made a lot of mistakes in life. I've made a lot of lifestyle changes. I'm still making lifestyle changes. Do I enjoy the occasional cold beverage? Absolutely. I'm a freaking man, dude. I'm a grown man with responsibilities. I take care of my responsibilities. And if I feel that I can afford to, I have myself a cold beverage from time to time. Yes, cigarettes are unnecessary, but unnecessarily I am addicted to them, and I do like to have myself a cigarette. It reduces my anxiety, and I enjoy them. Until one day I decide to quit, that day is not today. I have had moments where I've quit for a week, 2 weeks at a time, and I pick them back up. And then I'll go a day or two sometimes without, and then I'll pick them back up, you know? And it's no different than it is with my beer. Sometimes I won't drink for a week, 2 weeks, couple months. And I'll have a series where I have a beer every night for like a week. It just depends on what my mood is and what my affordability is, and that's my choice. It's your choice. If you don't have those things as your vices, but you're on the tool truck constantly, guess what? You're no different than me. You just spend it a different direction. If you're spending it all on V-Bucks for freaking Xbox, that's your lifestyle choice. That's what you decided to blow your money on. If you blow it on iTunes videos or music, that was your decision. If you're constantly going to the bars or the clubs, that's your lifestyle decision. If you're a gambler, that's your decision. If you can't stop yourself from going to sporting events, that's your decision. And who gives a crap? Do whatever you're going to do with your money, man. No one should ever tell you how to spend it. As long as you're taking care of your responsibilities, what's the problem? You know, I'm in total shape. I exercise constantly. I eat healthy. Family's fed. Kids are spoiled, man. These kids are absolutely spoiled. Everyone's got a cell phone, a tablet, a freaking game console, a TV. My daughter's got a 55-inch screen TV. You know what I mean? Like, come on. We take care of our kids. My wife's got a nice car. She's got a 2017 Nissan. I got a, nice car. It's reliable. It's 99 Honda. Her '03 Matrix, it's got problems. Yeah, it's not the be-all, end-all. We tried to take care of it the best we could, and it's just reached its final days, I think we're going to probably try to sell it. So, anyway, it is what it is at the end of the day, man. Look, I thought about going live, but right now I'm just not really feeling it. I just kind of want to kick back and relax. It's been a long day. I have been thinking about a lot of different things lately. It's tough being a dude, man. It really is. It's tough. You got responsibilities. Your family's looking up to you, hoping that you're going to make the best choice for your family and, keep the ball moving forward. There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. Every time something spontaneous pops up that you got to figure out how to afford, you just got to learn how to tackle it. I'm not against getting rid of things. I'm not against selling the things that I have to take care of our absolute needs. And if we don't need it, then that's when I usually stop selling my stuff. I'm like, all right, we've got to that point. We're doing okay. No need to sell anything right now. Oh, we're in a pinch. We need this much. I'm going to go sell some shit. It's just the way that I am, man. I will take care of my family. I will. It's nice to have nice things, but easy come, easy go. You can always get it back. I'm 40 years old, man. I've been working since I was 15 years old. You know how many different things that I've enjoyed along the way through life, but at least I've had an enjoyable life. I've had enjoyable and memorable experiences with different things and doing different things, and I enjoyed that time. I'm sure I'm getting ready to enjoy the future too once I get there. I'm just kind of hanging out in the gutter for a minute, humbling myself, trying to get back to a nice, peaceful place in my own head, or I can move on in a positive direction and continue to support my family and make them proud. That's it. At the end of the day, maybe have some fun. That's why I like doing the martial arts stuff, man. I'm having some fun and I'm staying in shape. That's what I like to do. So that's all I got for this video, guys. Thanks as always for watching my channel. I hope you enjoyed today's content. Cheers to those who have your beers. Happy TGIF. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers. Deuces.